This fucking game, man. Oh, God.
A sacrifice is I saved you. And I'm here to save you again. Her parasites are merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
Why do I see so many mommies?
The Absolute is
Hey, it's Gandalf!
more dangerous than you can possibly conceive.
Bro.
It threatens all who live. It threatens the gods, the weave, the very fabric of the universe itself.
How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards?
Blackith blesses me this day. Together, we might survive.
I'll enjoy watching you try. In mere moments.
Oh my God, this is insane. Holy shit.
Pass.
Oh, whoa! It's getting real! This is sick.
It's gone. The rest, perhaps, is.
What kind of adult content do we have in this game? Holy shit. And then hold on, that's not it. That's not the only thing. 1 second, hold on.
To the dismay
like,
of many AAA studios,
this is what I want to watch about
Baldur's Gate 3
this.
is well on its way, and the excitement around the
All
game
the
is growing
drama.
day by day, hour by hour. But for all intents and purposes, that shouldn't be happening because, well, this is a relatively niche genre. This is a CRPG. This isn't a first-person shooter. This isn't an ARPG. It's not a Diablo 4 or Call of Duty or anything like that. However, there's a lot of eyes on this.
How dare you compare anything to Call of Duty? What the fuck is this? Why would you compare anything to Call of Duty? Call of Duty's trash. Everyone knows this. Yeah, literally. Nothing compares to Call of Duty because Call of Duty is horrible.
Game, there's a lot of excitement that's behind it, and realizing that there's a lot of new eyes that are on the game and on the genre, I felt like this was a really good opportunity to talk to you guys about why everybody's so excited about the game and where a lot of this excitement is coming from, because I feel there's a lot of unique perspectives that we're really not paying attention to that, well, are all coalescing and colliding to make this perfect and harmonious moment that is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, before we dive in, I just want to say something. There's been a lot of traffic, a lot of new eyes to my channel over the last month or two, and I would like to properly introduce myself. My name is Ian from Legendary Drops. I work in the construction industry and I make videos as a hobby. I am not a games journalist. I am not a developer of any sort. I mean, I did go to college once for game development and then dropped out and then went to school for business instead. And now I have a marketing degree and I don't even...
I always wanted to do that before, but I always felt like it was a
marketing.
scam if you went to
So
college
there's
for
that.
gaming.
But I'm not a build guy. I don't like making meta videos or anything like that just because, well, that's just not something that I myself am really into. I don't like to meta myself out of fun. Now, that's just my personal take. I actually do enjoy watching people that make videos like that because it's really cool and interesting to see the perspective from people that really enjoy diving into the systems of these games that we love so much. But I like talking about the community. I like talking about the news. I like talking about how these games are made, and I like to talk about the people that make these games.
That's the way it should be for everybody.
Larian Studios is one of those studios that makes games that players love because they themselves are the players that love to play those games.
How many times are we going to keep hearing about all these devs where it's like the people who play video games make good games? Like, I'm so sick of these fucking companies coming out with games and then you find out that they don't play video games. Why the fuck are you making a video game then for? If you don't play game, you clearly don't know what the fuck you're doing. So like, no wonder your game's trash. Jesus.
I hope that makes sense. One of the reasons we can attribute as a factor for the rise in popularity of Baldur's Gate 3 is the recent Twitter war involving indie and AAA studios, many calling Baldur's Gate 3 an anomaly and not wanting customers to compare their games to Baldur's Gate 3. And while I'm not going to rehash that entire discussion, I will say that is some of the best marketing Larian could have ever asked for, because as a whole, gamers are relatively divorced from AAA groupthink. We don't care about their effort, their budgets, or their intentions. All we care about is the end product. And hearing
the issue with this, like, that people don't understand, the reason why we always keep having these fucking wars when it comes to like comparing games to each other and shit is because we're trying to get a stick out of their ass. All these people, like these game companies that keep making horrible games and they keep doing it over and over and over again and acting like they ain't listening to anybody. Well, they obviously don't care because they want money, and that's all they care about is the money. But we're trying to get them to stop making the shit games that we get excited about and then waste our money on.
How these developers were threatened by Baldur's Gate 3 only serves as the best pre-review for any wanting consumer to ask for. Now, while this did serve as a great way for the game to go viral, I think it's important to understand that Baldur's Gate 3's popularity was something that was foreshadowed by a number of other factors well before this exchange. Now, to better understand the phenomena that is Baldur's Gate 3, I think it's important that we take a step back, well, as far as we can step back, to the formation of Larian Studios. Larian Studios is a Belgian video game development company that was founded in 1996 by Sven Vink. The studio's
that's old. Look at that.
Spent, well, creating very small-scale games, but it gained significant recognition with the release of Divine Divinity in 2002, which showcased the studio's potential for immersive RPG experiences. Over the years, Larian Studios honed its craft, continuing to develop
Yes, they made
RPGs
Divinity
with
2.
a focus on player choice and engaging story.
But it wasn't set in the D&D
success of
universe.
Divinity Original Sin in 2014 and its sequel, Divinity Original Sin 2 in 2017, further solidified the studio's reputation as a major player in the RPG genre. Now, the story here isn't that simple. It wasn't just we made a couple of games and then all of a sudden we made a good one, it got popular.
Now, the problem I've noticed, like, I couldn't get into Divinity for some reason. We tried. Like, we tried to get into it. We bought Divinity 2, like, the whole setup and everything, and tried to really get into it, and we couldn't do it for some reason. I don't know why. But, like, it was cool at first, like, really fun, but it felt, like, kind of slowish. But then, like, everyone I told that to and talked about said, like, it's like, nothing. Everyone tried to, like, get into it, and, like, some people couldn't do it. Just the way they had it set up, and it felt kind of slow. Apparently, from what I've heard, though, Baldur's Gate 3 is way more fast-paced, just like D&D would be.
Popular, and now we make great games, and that's just the story. Case closed. No, their road, Larian's road to success, was incredibly difficult, and it was one that was paved by creatives, and that's where things get, well, different with them in regards to most companies that are out there, because they are creative-led, not business-led. Looking back on an article from 2015 from PC Gamer, how Divinity Original Sin almost bankrupted Larian Studios, the article reads, Larian Studios has been trying to make Divinity Original Sin in one form or another since 1997. Founder Sven Vink gave a great postmortem.
It wasn't that popular.
On the development of one of our favorite games of 2014, focusing more on the business side of game development than the creative side, or more specifically, how business and creative clash and overlap. To make their dream RPG in Divinity Original Sin, Larian went independent, borrowed money from the bank, got outside investors, raised nearly $1 million on Kickstarter, sacrificed Divinity Dragon Commander, and still nearly ran out of funding. If Original Sin hadn't been a serious success, that could have been the end of Larian Studios. Now, the reason why this story is significant is because if it wasn't for their gamble with Divinity and Divinity Original Sin 2, well, Larian Studios wouldn't have Baldur's Gate. I mean, I did notice that some of the developers that were complaining had complained that, you know, they had this awesome IP in Baldur's Gate and Wizards of the Coast and all of that. However, what they have to realize is that, well, Larian worked for that. That wasn't something that was just given to them. See, after the release of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which were done by BioWare, that IP went up into the air, and there was a ton of different developers that were trying to vie for ownership of that IP. However, none of them got it. One of those studios that was also trying to vie for it was Larian Studios. However, they hadn't proven themselves yet to be competent enough to be able to make a Baldur's Gate game.
Who gives a shit? If you think you can make a game, try to do it.
Divinity Original Sin, and then the
as long as you play video game.
Came out for Divinity Original Sin 2, that Wizards of the Coast finally said, hey, do you guys want to make this game? See, that says a lot. It isn't something as easy as something being handed to somebody. No, this is blood, sweat, and tears of 30-plus developers that had worked on Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2.
And that's small, too. Only 30 developers? Dude, like, Final Fantasy's what, like 200? Or something like that? Like, there's companies with some games that are, like, triple that. Like, 30's small.
This wasn't some massive company that just got a favor.
No, it was small
these are
shit.
people that worked hard and passionately. and honestly were people that didn't really have a lot of knack for the business side. They went way over their budget. They had to
I feel like that's a good thing. I'm so sick. Like, have you ever noticed that everyone who knows too much about business ends up just being like a bad thing? Because they end up like caring more about the fucking money side of things, and that's like the least important factor. I know everything runs on money, but man, that's not how you succeed at shit.
to borrow. They were in debt. They were in like a couple $1 million debt. This is the kind of thing that you can see when an IP means a lot to a company, because they genuinely love that story, and that's the story that they want to tell to their customers.
It's like just like Final Fantasy
This company
14
worked so hard to make sure that
they fucking went down the tubes and crashed damn near. They almost got bankrupt because of 14's failure. Like, it almost ruined their brand. And then look what happened. They turned that around. And they were like, well, I'm not fucking doing that again.
Yoshi turned it around.
Yeah, and they are legitimately passionate about their game. Like, Yoshi's in love with that game. Like, the whole dev team is. Like, that's their baby. And they love the community for it, too. Like, they don't want it just for the money. I mean, yeah, they work and get paid, but that's their game. They don't just come to work every day and be like, okay, let's see what else we can throw into this.
their games were successful because they had a story to tell. They had an experience to give. This is one of the reasons why people are so excited for Baldur's Gate 3. It's not just because it's Wizards of the Coast property. It's not because it's being made by a AAA company. No, it's because it's being made by people that worked very hard to have the opportunity to be able to make this game and give it to us. Now, I'm not downplaying the importance of the Wizards of the Coast IP.
Mad Mercer!
In fact, it's one of the most contributing factors to the excitement and popularity behind Baldur's Gate 3. This is something that's been brewing for the last few years, ever since the pandemic lockdowns in 2020.
Critical Role, we're simping right now.
Its biggest year yet in its 47-year history. Wizards of the Coast stated that though they can't give exact numbers, they estimate they have over 50 million players to date, with 60% of that player base landing between the ages of 20 and 34.
I want to say something big right now about the D&D shit. Fuck everyone that gave me shit for it back in school. I'm like dead serious. Fuck everybody who gave me shit for being into D&D and being a nerd back in school. Like, I'm like fucking assholes. I'm serious. I got shit on so much for being into this shit, and now it's like one of the biggest things ever, and everyone wants to be involved in shit. It's like, oh yeah, really? Where the fuck's my apology? Same for you too, because I bet you got shit for trying to be involved in it.
Which is a key gaming demographic. Now, this is something I guarantee I'm going to get comments on, because I guarantee some of you guys also are some of the people that got hooked in because of the lockdowns. See, there was so much content being generated during the lockdown, specifically with Dungeons and Dragons. Looking at YouTube channels or Twitch streams.
Thank you, COVID.
Look at the growth of
Just
Critical
kidding.
Role.
That's not good.
They have their own TV show on Amazon now. Not to mention, there was the movie that we had earlier this year. I think that was like back in March, Honor Amongst Thieves. I thought it was hilarious. I enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Dungeons & Dragons has been explosive over the last couple of years, and this is something that's only serving as a boon to Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian by extension. Everybody has more interest in Baldur's Gate. They have more interest in Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy games in general, and because of that, the game is seeing a lot more
because you could
interest
do
than
what you
the game
want.
probably normally would any other time. And I think it's a great thing, because I really enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's been a great time playing with friends and making friends and meeting people. And what
I feel like the biggest factor of Dungeons and Dragons and why it is never blown up as much as it has is because like it's honestly really hard to get a good group together and get a campaign going. It really is.
Yeah.
You know how hard has it been for us to find a good group to actually get involved in D&D, even though we want to get involved. One, people are fucking weird nowadays. Like, people are crazy, so you don't want to go out and of your way to get like a campaign going and get involved in D&D, because you'll end up meeting weird ass freaking people that are just psycho. And then two, when you do get a good campaign going, or one you get invested into, people drop it or just find some excuse to stop doing it, and then you just end up into halfway through a campaign that you stop playing. And so it's just like, what the fuck? Like, it's really fun and the best way to experience like high fantasy in a game environment. But yet it's super hard to stay invested into. It really is. Like, I'm so jealous of Critical Role. So fucking jealous of the the environment they have with that. I would kill to get involved in one of those campaigns. Oh my god. You would not get looked at weird for role playing and just getting goofy or anything, and I'd feel so at home. I'd feel so at home. Like your inner theater child would come out, Ariel. Like you'd feel fucking you'd probably cry. I know you would.
Whether it's been online or in person, it's always a really awesome community building experience. And now we get to do that with a game. We get to just experience more of that. And players are drawn to those kind of things. And when we're talking about community building experiences, Larian Studios is, well, the king of them all. Which brings me to the leading factor, if not the most important factor, and the one that's going to lead them to success in the future and then on, and probably for another decade, just like we had with Divinity Original Sin. Larian Studios' exceptional approach to community building through early access and their engaging panels from hell has really set them apart as a developer that values the player's input and feedback. By opening the doors to early access for Baldur's Gate 3, they've allowed fans to be a part of the development journey from the very beginning. This not only created a sense of ownership and excitement, but it also fostered this genuine partnership between the studio and the community. Larian Studios actively listened to the players' suggestions, addressed any issues that they found pretty quickly, to be honest with you, and constantly improved the game based on real-time feedback. This transparency and collaborative effort of development process not only resulted in a really polished final product that we're going to be seeing with Baldur's Gate, but it also forged this really long-lasting bond between the player base and the developer themselves. And I really need to hammer on the point that the panels from hell, they further exemplified Larian's dedication to the community and engaging with the community.
Shit, they're just as goofy as Final Fantasy XIV.
Provided fans with an exclusive look behind the scenes of Baldur's Gate 3, featuring developers discussing upcoming features, answering questions, and sharing insights about the game's design process. Through these events, Larian Studios effectively bridged the gap between developer and player, breaking down traditional barriers and creating a shared enthusiasm for the game's future. The genuine passion and excitement exhibited by the developers during these panels resonated really deeply with myself and other members of the community, which fostered this sense of camaraderie and mutual appreciation. Larian Studios committed to their community. They committed to community building. Through the process of these panels, through all of their different updates on their Steam page, not only is this leading to an exceptional game, but it's also establishing a relationship of trust, respect, and love between the studio and its players that, honestly, it's something that's probably going to endure for years and years to come.
We know what this feels like already.
As genuine as I possibly can be about, because
Final Fantasy spoils our ass with that.
First Baldur's Gate 3 video. Baldur's Gate 3 will surprise you. Ooh. But we don't see this level of transparency from any other developer that's out there, and there's others that are trying to emulate it. And
no, not true. I don't know if he's played Final Fantasy 14. The dev team does the same thing. Yoshi's dev team, transparency wise, like you can talk to them about everything, and they communicate like really well. So I mean, that's another one.
So Diablo 4 is the first one that comes to mind with their campfire chats, which I think are great. However, the thing is that it's not really.
I don't want to get started on that shit. Oh my
event.
god!
It's just
fucking
developers
Diablo,
being berated by questions and downtrodden and feeling bad because that culture isn't set there the way that it is at Larian Studios, where you have these people that are genuinely having fun making the game that they're making because they're passionate and they love that game and they love that story and they love what they're doing. And that's not to say that the people working on Diablo 4 aren't doing the same thing or they aren't passionate about it, but the culture's not the same. And
I feel like it's all pushed by freaking CEOs and money. That's why.
Watched any of the campfire chats, but you know when they had Rod Ferguson on before, and he's being jovial and he's joking around, but the problem is the player base is upset with the state of the game, so they don't care about him joking around. They see it as a distraction rather than anything else. The problem with that is it necessarily wasn't just him being a distraction. It was because nobody else was really in on that conversation. None of them were all having that much fun. The rest of them were feeling rather defeated. When you watch these panels from hell, you see the excitement, you see the love, you see the genuine, just the good feels of enjoying your job and the people that you work for and the people that you work with and the thing that you're working on. And that's infectious. It's
Oh, yeah.
infected us players that have
Makes you wanna play the game more.
early access.
That's why I'm
version
so
of the
stuck
game.
on Final Fantasy
We're the
for
ones
it.
that are sitting here making these videos, talking to you, telling you how incredible this game is, how incredible this game is going to be, and how much fun it's going to be for us all to play. Even more so, how much we want you to be a part of this community so that you yourself can experience it and then pass it on to another person, because this is what we need in gaming. We need more of this, and we don't have enough of it anymore. I hate to say it, but a lot of these AAA developers it doesn't feel to me that they really enjoy what they're doing anymore. They're not in love with the projects that they're working on.
No, they want money.
It has a lot to do with the fact that they're being whipped day by day by people above them. And you can see that in those comment sections and those threads on Twitter with those developers talking about how they don't want to be compared to Baldur's Gate 3 because the only thing that's coming out of their mouth is numbers and budgets and time constraints and things that should never be the interest of creatives that are trying to make something that players love, that players want to play. Larian Studios is that company. Making a game that players want to play, making a game that they love for the players that they love. I really hope people appreciate this game for everything that it is and more, because this is an incredibly special moment in game development, in game design, and in gaming history. I said it in my first video on Baldur's Gate. If you haven't watched the panels from Hell, go watch every single one of them.
It got my interest the second I heard D&D. I'm like, huh, what?
We don't see this, and we may not see it again for a very long time.
Sadly.
The only thing that we can do is continue to support the companies that do love the things that they make and do love the players that they're making it for.
I really wish the people who God, people just stop buying shit from fucking Activision, please. Like, my only argument for Diablo is that the reason why I want Diablo is because I'm a huge fan of the story. Like, the story's good. Like, you can't bash Blizzard for cinematics and storytelling when it comes to Diablo. They know what they're doing with that. They're good at that. Then they can make a fucking movie. But, like, when it comes to, like, live service shit, I feel like they're really bad at it. And, like, they care about, like, getting money from people, to be honest, with that shit. And, like, not putting in the effort of, like, features in a game. Like, that's my argument on it. But when it comes to, like Activision and games that just want to fucking do like these loot box games and shit and fucking first person shooters and shit, I wish people would stop fucking giving them money. Oh, like I got roped into Activision's Call of Duty shit for a while, remember? And like that's where I started doing really hardcore streaming from. But man, I realized how bad the community was, and I'm so sick and tired of these companies just taking money from people that they enjoy first person shooters, but they're just getting robbed. Like they really are. Because the companies don't give a shit about, like, the player base. They'd rather pay cheaters so that they can make more money from their game while people are hacking. Like, the fuck?
And that aren't being controlled by these oligarchs in the offices above them. These gold holders, these loot goblins.
He actually just said that. I'm gonna start calling gaming CEOs loot goblins. Start doing that.
You're not wrong.
I cannot wait
The
to
loot
share
goblins.
this game with you.
And like in Diablo, when you see a loot goblin in the wild, what do? I'm gonna shut up.
I cannot wait to share this game with my friends. I can't wait to make it the only thing I'm probably going to stream for the next like year or more. I mean, I'll probably stream some other stuff too.
I'm excited to stream it. I can't fucking wait,
I
man.
stream on Twitch sometimes. You guys can follow me on Twitch down below. It's really weird streaming when you don't have people to talk to. I mean, I get a few people in there, and I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. But I'm an engagement guy. I like to talk. Give me things to talk about. Ask me questions about things. That's
I
how
feel him
function.
100%.
If I'm not talking, I just feel weird. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have. There's a lot of different reasons why
I like this
Baldur's
video.
Gate
You did a good
3
video.
is
Yeah.
this massive game that seemingly for a lot of other people popped out of nowhere, but it's something that's been building for years now. And I'm happy to have been a part of that. And I cannot wait for you to be able to experience it yourself. I feel bad for the Xbox folks that are going to have to stay waiting for a little bit longer, but I'm going to tell you right now, guys, it's 100% worth it. Larian is doing their best to make sure that they're going to bring you guys the best possible experience that you can get out of Baldur's Gate 3. They do not want to give you some 30 FPS garbage. No, they said 60 FPS, and that's even on the Series S, and that's a task. Anyway, that's all I got. See you guys later.
Freaking awesome.
Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe, my friends.
It's a good video. Yeah, I like that. That's so freaking true, though, man. I'm excited that the fact that like I'm hoping people are starting to wake up to stop giving like bad like. And granted, I know people are gonna give me shit because it's like, well, you bought Diablo 4. It's like, yeah, but I was anticipating and looking forward to Diablo 4. Like everybody was. Not just I'm not a Blizzard fan. Like in terms of like buying, I don't play fucking WoW or any of that shit. But I'm a huge fan of Diablo. Like I'm a huge Diablo fan. So like the fact that like I was just anticipating the story for it, that's the only reason I got the game. I don't support the company in terms of like the shit they do with their games and like running the community through. You know what I mean? But I just hope more people are starting to realize is like stop giving these fucking companies money just for the sake of the fucking game and playing it. Like we had a bunch of friends we tried getting out of COD, remember Ariel? And like they just didn't want to stop playing the damn games. Because they felt like that's all they could play because all their friends played it.